Hello, this is Goto. Welcome back to Feed the Beast Interactions Remastered, where you can probably see at least I've been a busy bee with upgrading machines to HV. Let me give you a quick tour of the changes. Let me get this mitt out of my way. So HV machine upgrades. I haven't done all of the machines yet, but I have done our main kind of processing machines up here. All of this is now HV, which is awesome because HV machines doing LV recipes are going to be 4 times faster for LV recipes. So we're going to be getting plates and wires and all that stuff much faster. And also, I went down here and I upgraded ore processing. I did two things to it. First of all, I set out this separate line over here. This is for doing chemical bath with mercury and sodium persulfate. Sodium persulfate we're making in our chemical processing stuff, so I just imported that from over there. But mercury we're not really making anywhere. So for that, I just brought down a centrifuge, and I'm centrifuging some cinnabar to get mercury. And then that just kind of goes here in between the macerator and the ore washing plant step. And basically into the ore washing step, I put a block list to block these 8 ores. I went through all the ores manually and just said like, hey, these are the ones I want to wash versus chemical bath. So I'm blocking those 8 ores, and then on these machines I said, these are the 5 I want to wash with mercury, and then these are the 3 I want to wash with sodium persulfate. And so that's all set up now over here. So as you can see, I am currently processing some cinnabar. Cinnabar is one I want to wash with ore washing, so it goes over into the ore washer. But if I were to switch this, for example, if I put some copper in here, now the copper is going to make the what's it called? The crushed copper, which I wash with mercury. So that comes over here to wash. Yeah, and then right now I'm just processing a whole lot of stuff. And let me put that back in a kind of order-ish order that I wanted in. Something like this, sure. Anyways, since I upgraded to HV, now from our HV macerator, we're getting the secondary byproduct, which is awesome. That's like all of where's the ore processing picture? Over here, we weren't getting this before. Now we can get that, and then now we can get, let's see, this down here. This is the tertiary byproduct. We weren't getting that at all. Now we can get that as well. So we are able to get all that stuff now. I basically have it go, it washes, and then before from washing, it would go into the forge hammer and then the centrifuge. Now instead of going forge hammer centrifuge, it goes thermal centrifuge, which makes crushed centrifuge ore. So here's some crushed copper ore, and then that goes back into the macerator. Centrifuge is still needed for the sifter because the sifter makes purified dust when we run gems through there. But yeah, otherwise, big speed upgrade, and then also byproduct upgrade. And in addition, I also upgraded on this side. This is the side that upgrades ores into like dense and crystal and cluster and stuff. So before we were... Oh, I actually have not done the quest now that I think of it. Let me grab a piece of iron ore. Because there is that quest for making a relevant piece of iron ore. So let's chemical bath an iron ore. And then let's go to our relevant quest book, metallurgy. So up here, we can now make... I can now do these 2 steps. So dense iron is something we've had before. Let me just let that process for a second. Sturgis quartz can go on to the next machine. Okay, so we got our dense iron here. That finishes this quest here. And then with the dense iron, we have made this concentrated iron, which we can macerate for 4 iron chunks now, or 4 iron clusters, smelt for 4 clusters. But if we continue going, we can actually arc furnace it into a crystal, which we can then smelt for 8 clusters. So we've gone from normally the macerator doubles. This process will quadruple. This process is 16, 8 times, and then this is 16x. So we're now like 16xing our ores compared to what is normally possible, which is kind of crazy. All right, let me allow these to process. And then on the other side of here, this process needed pyrotheum, and it also makes phosphoric acid as a byproduct here. I just kick out the phosphoric acid, send it to some tanks over there, and then on the side I am requesting stuff to make pyrotheum dust, and then turning it into blazing pyrotheum, the liquid, which is needed to process that. So that's what's happening on this side. And, oh yeah, I need to get my iron back in here at some point. There we go. Sneak the iron crystal in there. And we have finished that quest as well. Cindermote quest, huh? Or Cindermote seeds. And I don't know what this flower does. I'll just keep those unclaimed for now. Cool. So that is, in a nutshell, our changes. And you can see here's more logistic pipes I needed for mostly for importing fluids. The only thing I do not have set up down here right this second is life essence. I kind of am bringing in manually because we still have our altar up here and it doesn't really have its final home yet. So once this life altar has its final home, we will figure out something more permanent as far as getting fluids into our base for crafts and stuff. Plastic PVC fix. What is this? What did I do for that? Oh, I ended up, yeah, these were sharing an insertion pipe, so what would happen is that, like, this would produce PVC and put it in the pipe, but then its destination was full. So when its destination was full, this machine stopped being able to output its polyethylene to send to its destination. So I just ended up giving it the PVC its own output over here, which is fine. It's like not exactly what I wanted to do, but it's because like I was trying to save horizontal space, but it's fine. It's fine. And I didn't want to use like more logic controllers to control turning these machines off and on because that also takes space along the edge of the machines. But I figured it out, so we're fine. No, sorry, I had a big sneeze there. Okay, so that was the PVC plastic fix. Ore processing and chem bats we talked about. Diesel efficiency. I went ahead and I upgraded the diesel to use this step here where we make empowered canola seeds with liquid starlight and infinity dust. Right now I don't have infinity dust automated. For now I just went and kind of, we can automate this eventually with some... Actually, we can automate this fairly soon with some Thumbcraft. But the reason this is just hooked up here, HV generator, is because this runs 32 of these. It doesn't use too much power, and it makes 32 of them, so like it doesn't have to run a lot. Over here, we have to use one of them, and it doubles our oil, basically. And this crystallized oil, instead of making heavy and light fuel and mixing it into diesel, this crystallized oil is able to be directly distilled into diesel at a ratio of 25 to 45. So, or I guess 5 to 9. So that actually cuts out a step. So that's why there's one less machine here, is because I replaced it with this machine. And one thing you're not seeing here, and I'll just show you really quick, I have a second distillery under here, and that's also making diesel. And it's just because this makes, how much diesel is this making? This is making 45 millibuckets, or 45 liters of diesel a second, which is not too slow, but I was actually running out of diesel here, so I just set it up, second one down there. This was the old distillery that was over here, so that just doubled our production. We're now making 90 diesel per second. So that is a improvement. Our next step for improving diesel is going to be making tetranitromethane, which to make tetranitromethane we need, I'm going to be using, I think this is the recipe I decided to be using. nitric acid and methyl acetate. And then methyl acetate we're going to make with methanol and acetic acid. Acetic acid and methanol, I think we can both make those with just hydrogen and carbon. Yeah, so hydrogen and carbon for acetic acid, and then methanol. Whereas this is the recipe I want to use. Though I do see the carbon dioxide recipe. Maybe we do that. It uses 6,000 hydrogen and makes 1,000 methanol. This one uses 4,000 hydrogen. No, we'll use this one because hydrogen is more annoying to make. It's like much slower to make than other stuff. Anyways, so tetranitro. It's kind of hard to see here in this dark basement. Here we go. Put it on the orange background. Now you can see that there is something up there. So that would be making the methyl acetate. And then to make the nitric acid, we actually need to we could do kind of two different processes, but this process requires a multi-block we don't have access to yet. This other process would be, basically we have to make nitrogen dioxide and mix it with water. And to make nitrogen dioxide, we need to make nitric oxide, and to make that we need ammonia. And then to make ammonia, we need an HV chemical reactor. Anyway, so the reason I didn't do this is because this is HV chemical reactor, and I was like, let me just wait until we are upgrading machines to HV. So next, I don't know if I'm going to do that this episode, but we're going to look at upgrading these machines to HV, upgrade our power over here to HV, and all that fun stuff, so that our chemical line will be fully HV as well. Even if a line is HV, we don't need to run it at HV. Like, for example, this mixer, I just run it at whatever its tier level of recipe, because if you overclock it, it uses more power. So yeah, we're just running stuff at HV over here. And why is there stuff in here? There we go. Robot arm over here went on the fritz, I guess. Or actually, I was messing with it. Probably is what happened. Okay. I think that covers all the changes I did. This episode, I think what we're gonna do is actually... Oh, there was one more thing I was going to talk about. I made a drill, and this is the GregTech drill, and this is like a beast of a mining tool. Like, let me go over here and show you how much it mines in one hit. It mines a 5x5x5 area, so yeah. That is certainly an area it just mined out. In fact, I didn't really want this area mined out, so I'm just going to fill it back in really quick. I won't fill the whole thing in, just kind of smooth out the edge of the ground there. There we go. I mean, we still got these 23 dirt blocks from somewhere. Since we're over here, we can also look to see how is our tree farm doing. We got 15 stacks of spectre wood, which is probably enough for our ectoplasm needs. Crystallized mineral shards, even though I upgraded this barrel, it's getting close to full. Yeah, all the wood supply here is doing good. I do not want this wood anymore. Please leave it alone. My magnet was not leaving it alone. Alright, so what we want to do today, I think, is we want to work towards upgrading our EVFs again, so we can get the next set of coils, which is going to make all of our processing more efficient. I'd also like to do diesel, but I think I'm going to do diesel between episodes off camera, because that's going to involve redoing all of our junk over here, and that's just gonna not be all that interesting to watch, I don't think. But in order to upgrade our coils, the next coil is called nichrome. So if we go to nichrome ingot, we can see, hey, you can't actually make this ingot because you have to cool a hot nichrome ingot in a vacuum freezer. And there was a chemical bath recipe we were using before, but we can't actually use this recipe because this needs Industrial Cryocoolant 2, ICC2, which we cannot make because it needs a vacuum freezer. So we're just not going to be using this recipe page at all. we're just going to do the cooling of the ingot directly in the vacuum freezer. So, otherwise, making the ingot is just a regular EBF recipe. But the cooling of the ingots and what I was doing for Canthal before, we're going to be doing that for Nichrome now. So, oh, and let me get this drill out of my inventory because I do not want to make a hole in my base somewhere. So that's going to be rule number 1 about the drill, is we do not keep the drill in our inventory. Let's clean up some space really quick. I went to the Nether and grabbed my cave illuminator. I forgot I had it stuck in there when I was mining some stuff before. I don't remember if I talked about circuit upgrades as well. I made all of these circuit upgrades, and we can now make NAND chips because we can make simple SoCs in our laser engraver. And I also made all of our surface mount components that we had before, like transistors, capacitors, resistors. I made the SMD versions of those using our assembler over here, so you can see here these guys. But yeah, that is now able to make those a little bit more efficiently. Once we get applied energistics up and going, which is kind of our next major logistical upgrade, we're going to be like cruise, and I'm really excited for that. But in the meantime, we are going to be doing a vacuum freezer. So what is a vacuum freezer? Vacuum freezer is needing some atomic alloys. Okay. Oh, no. Polytetrafluoroethylene. Also known PTFE or Teflon, however you want to call it. That's actually kind of a bummer. Okay, let's see what we need to make polytetrafluoroethylene. Let me bookmark this chain of recipes. So, we can't use a large chemical reactor, so that recipe is out. We will use this one, which makes extra. So bookmark this guy. Let me clear these from up here. So we need to make tetrafluoroethylene gas. We have to use a large chemical reactor. Again, we don't have that, so we have to use this recipe here. This makes hydrochloric acid and tetrafluoroethylene gas. So the hydrochloric acid here is a byproduct. That's why we set up that whole overflow and active processing system before. Hydrofluoric acid. Okay, we're going to need to make multiple things for this. So first, let's look at the chloroform. Chloroform... We're not making methane right now. And we do have carbon. How much carbon do we have? Carbon. I mean, we can always make carbon from charcoal. Charcoal can be turned into carbon if we get over here. If we macerate carbon into charcoal dust and then we electrolyze it, we get carbon. So we can make carbon. Can we do something with coke as well? So we make coke dust. Can we electrolyze that? We can, but it's only 1 carbon, so we'll probably just use charcoal for that. So chloroform, I'm thinking the carbon recipe. Oops. That seems to have crashed our client here. I've been getting this crash sometimes when I try to bookmark certain recipes there, so I'm gonna have to just try to avoid doing that, I guess, when I see that happen. I will still heart this recipe, though, because I think that's the one we want to do. How would we make methane, anyways? Let's look at methane really quick. Methane, we would need hydrogen plus carbon, so we still need carbon in there. Benzene or toluene, which we're not making. Propene, which we don't have. We're not using mineral crystals for methane. No, we're not insane. That would be insane. This is interesting, actually. Refinery gas. And I know that sounds like a weird name, but refinery gas is the thing, and then gas is the state that it's in, right? I guess you could have refinery gas liquid. But refinery gas, we could actually get from sulfuric gas from our distilling of empowered oil. So technically we could do this, but we would need to make a distillation tower to get both diesel and sulfuric gas out of our distillation process. And this is something we could make technically. And this is a distillation tower. It would have 3 outputs, so we would need to make it like this. Oh, like that, with 3 outputs. This works by having the input on the bottom, and then each layer is its own output. Do I want to do that? I don't think I want to do that, to be honest. It's a lot of work to get some methane. So let's stick with the hydrochloric acid and carbon. Next, we're going to need hydrofluoric acid as well. So for this, we're going to need fluorine and hydrogen or fluorine and lithium to make dilithium. No, we're not doing that one. We would be doing this one. Okay, that did not crash my game. How about this one? Do you want to crash? Yep, you're still going to crash my game. Okay. It's just like certain recipes that does. I don't know what's up with that. I'll be back in a second once I'm loaded back in. Okay, we are loaded back in. So fluorine. How would we get fluorine? We could get it out of some minerals. Biotite. Topaz. Blue topaz. Bastonite. And lepidolite, which is a salt. Mica. We could get it out of hydrofluoric acid. There we go. Fluoroantimonic acid. I don't think we're going to do that one. Just a hunch. This would be really good right here. Fluorine-enriched egg. So we could definitely look at this, but I'm going to guess we're going to need fluorine to make said fluorine chicken. Yeah, see, we're going to need fluorine gas. Oh, and we're going to need a morphic resonator as well from Thaumcraft. Which, according to this, we can currently craft. Let me go back in my chain of recipes really quick. Well, we don't. I mean, I guess we do need to bookmark that. Here, let me bookmark this guy really quick. So pain, we would need 4 of them, or we would need 2 chickens, so we'd need 2 of these guys. 4 panes. Brass plate, of course we don't have brass plates, just ready to go. That's like just one of those things I never automated. Where's my bending machine? I think it's this one right here. Ah, boof, there we go. Squeeze on in there. Alright, there's our brass plates, and then rare earths. I think I made some of these. We can make some of these. Okay, so liquid starlight with rare earth. Do I have liquid starlight in my autoclave? I accidentally deleted it when I did what you called when I was upgrading the machine. Let me just grab some of these guys. Whoops, not slash home, just slash home once. And then go ahead and dump all of those in there. Make our rare earth. Is this a HV recipe? Oh, it's MV. Okay. I was like, it's kind of slow for this being an HV machine, but... Alright, there are some rare earth. Let's grab that. And then this also needed air and ignis crystals, which I believe we have over here, so... Yep, we do have all of those, so let's put that in there. I will take both of those. Thank you for that. This is going to be made in a mixer. Oh, we're also going to need infinity reagent. Oh, geez. Okay, this is going to need some stuff we do not have yet. But I do want to, like, get it up and going. So, let's go ahead and toss that in our mixer. We are going to be needing biotite. Okay, so we do need biotite. So, where do we get biotite from? There is this biotite crystal. Wow, you cannot see anything because the items are so dark. So there's these ender biotites that we can make, but they're like not. I don't know what I'm looking at here. They are not able to be turned into um, biotite. The dust. So we gotta basically ignore all of this stuff over here. We need the actual dust, and the dust is gonna come from uh, centrifuging stone or centrifuging black granite, which I don't know that we have black granite in our world. I think black granite world gen is turned off. Greg Tech config world gen option. Um, doesn't show in here. Let me look in the actual config file. Config Greg world gen vein overworld black granite. Uh, I mean, it appears to be on. GregTech.config black granite. Well, it appears to be on, but the odd thing is I've never seen any. So I don't know where to get this so-called black granite from. Can we, like, make black granite? Black granite is made from black granite cobblestone. Rock breaker. We get a piece of black granite. We can make black... Oh, this is an EV, extreme voltage recipe. Never mind, we cannot do that. Yeah, I guess we get a piece of black granite from a quest. Do I still have that? Black granite bricks. Yeah, we do have that, but I guess there's... Oh, we can also get it from granitic mineral sand, which I doesn't look like that's in any veins right now. That's disabled. Okay, so black granite would be like we would need to go find a sphere of it. That's how they spawn, and it'd be out there in the world somewhere. But yeah. Oh, I just remembered something. Marble. Do you remember how when we would be chiseling our marble, we'd have like a bajillion options because of chisel? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I turned. Wait. Oh no. This is not what I want. I I meant to turn off the chisel variants of marble. It turned off the astral sorcery variants of marble. I hate this. Okay, well, we're gonna have to actually, did it turn them off? Because there's a lot less marble things in here, which is more or less what I wanted. Yeah, it turned a lot of them off. It didn't turn all of them off, but like from here through here is like it's taken it okay. Okay, so we're fine on that. Since I have the config file already open, let me go back to the chisel config and see chisel marble pillar. Okay, marble pillar is a different kind of config there. Let me change that for my client and then the server real quick. Config chisel marble pillar. And that's just going to make it whenever we go to chisel marble, it's not going to be cluttered with a bunch of non-relevant types of marbles. Okay, so we have the Morphic Resonator. This is going to take like quite a few things, so I think we're just going to have to set up. I don't know where we're going to get black granite, so I think we're just going to have to do stone centrifuging. So stone centrifuging, huh? Didn't I feel like I made an extra centrifuge on accident. Let me go down here and check. Well, if I did make it on accident, it's not down here. Let me take all these machines up that I don't really need. I kind of keep a box of, like, retired machines up here just because I end up needing them again at some point, so it's easier to have them all in one place. So centrifuge, we have an MV centrifuge. An MV centrifuge would probably be fine. Biotite to get centrifuge. Bookmark this recipe. Oh, not bookmark. Sorry, favorite the recipe. This would give potassium feldspar, which is potassium, aluminum, silicon, oxygen, marble dust, magnesium, and calcium carbonate. That's what that is, right? Calcite. Metal mixture. What is metal mixture used for? We could turn into iron, bauxite, pyrolusite, ilmenite, chromite, and barite, huh? Then also gives sodalite and stuff. I'd really prefer black granite if we knew where some was, but, like, I just don't know where any is. I think it might be one of those things that spawn in the ocean. So here, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to... Let's do a... Trying to think where we have some stuff. So diesel is over here. I might steal some diesel. This is just going to be a quick and dirty setup because I don't think I'm going to be running this setup long term. So let me get a centrifuge. Let me get a supplier item pipe for stocking stone. Let me grab some fluid conduits. Ender fluid conduits. And then let me grab a chest. How big is this memory chest? I mean, probably not that big. It's only a small diamond chest. A small memory chest. I'll just do a gold chest. Should be sufficient. All right. And then a generator. Where's my combustion generators? I'm pretty sure I have MV combustion generators. Are they, like, in my bag here or something? Here they are. Get those out of there. Alright. Quick and dirty setup for making some stone here. I'm looking to see how I want to do this. Let's put our generator, centrifuge. Our output's going to be there. Auto output, yes. Let's put a supplier up here. And I want you to keep stocked stone dust. If I could, like, not delete it on accident. So you're going to stock stone dust. You are going to power this, and you are going to take fuel from right here. I believe fuel was the yellow channel, so let me just go ahead and insert on yellow. We don't need this connection. Alright, there we go. Diesel is running, and you are running. Cool. Alright, and now we get to wait for biotite. Enough for us to get all the fluorine we need, and then, with all of the fluorine we need, we can make a fluorine chicken, and then we can stop running this centrifuge. But it's going to take a hot second, because you just saw we got one piece of marble dust from this 24 seconds of waiting, so this might be like an overnight thing we have to wait for to get all the biotite we need for all that fluorine. Any other sources of fluorine? We need this for biotite, regardless, for the chickens, because the chicken needs 64 biotite, or 32 biotite to make 2 of them. We could get our fluorine from something else. So, let's maybe focus on getting our fluorine elsewhere. So, topaz is a good looking option. Do I have topaz? Topaz. I have blue topaz only. I would prefer the orange topaz because we need less of it for the same amount of fluorine. So let's see where we could get this. This is I think this is a vein we haven't actually mined out yet, or went to. I believe I saw that vein up here. Copper gem. Yeah, topaz. So let's go up there and get some of that. Do I have night vision currently available? I do not. I have my night vision potions in here, and they are all used up. This is making regen potions. Honestly, we don't need regen potions anymore. You kidding me? Let's make some night vision potions. For night vision potions, they need liquid starlight. For the good ones, anyways. And then night vision. Horsetail we've already got in there. Mooncap and Moonblow Leaf. So we have 7 cells of liquid starlight. I don't know why 7. That's just like what I had in my inventory. So let's just break that to get rid of the water. There's 7 buckets of liquid starlight. We can put our Everfull urn back now. Put the horsetail back in there, and then we need the mushrooms. And we need these moonglow leaves. And then the mushrooms, where do we have those again? Mooncap mushrooms. I'm pretty sure we have extra of them. Mooncap, yep, okay. Take 7 of those. These I made at some point, I forgot if I mentioned it, but I made them with this recipe once, and then I used the phytogenic insulator to replicate them, so that's why we have those, and where they came from. Alright. And, oh yeah, fuel source, and we should be good to go here. Oh, and glass jars too. Glass bottle. Alright, finally. And then it's daytime, so turns out we don't really need it. Let's go get our, some topaz, though. So I'm going to use my portal over here, which is going to take me to the dungeon that was in the ice area. The dungeon's down there. We're not going down there, but that is where it is. And then from here, we just need to go... You know, this is like a borderline further from the vein than it is from home. Let me just go back home and use our glider. Me when I'm good at being inefficient. Alright. Away we go. Hopefully the rain's not making the video quality look horrible. I'm a little curious where one would find black granite. I might just science and look over under the ocean in a bit. But anyways, let's go down here. So let me pick up one of these flowers, because I don't think I've ever picked one up. Yep. And I can't plant it back because this is crystal ground cover. Alright, I don't know how deep this is going to go, but this is our time for our big drill to shine. I'm going to dig down to the level, because if I use our drill to dig down, it's going to, like, break and hurt me. Alright, here we go. Let me get my big drill out now. Yep, that's how crazy it is. Let me turn my satchel to auto void. Get those out of my inventory. Alright, we don't need like a ton of it, so let me just kind of do a just open up the space here a bit. I like keep breaking the torches as I place them, it's kind of funny. Okay, and then I want to make sure we've gotten all the relevant ores from this vein, so let me go down a little deeper. The noise is a little annoying, isn't it? Alright, I think that's going to give us all of the ore we need, to be honest, so let me make some inventory room. Like, gee, we got 3 stacks of copper just digging this tiny little hole. Let me go in my satchel. This is where I usually put ores and stuff. Alright, that should be our copper gem quest vein complete. Oh boy, a red garnet. At least it's not a sphene, am I right? If you know, you know. Alrighty. So dump those in there. This chest is absolutely full. So we got our topaz ore. Topaz is something we can put through our new process over here. So this is going to go over here. It's going to stick it in the chemical bath. Chemical bath is going to output it into the chemical reactor with mana and life essence. That's going to make a... I forgot what it's called. What does it make? A concentrated shard, which is going to go into the arc furnace and make a crystal. Crystal's going to go over to our furnace, and it's going to make 8 clusters. Boom. And now our clusters are going to go over here, and I'm going to have them jump the line. Oh, you know, there's quartz in here. I'm going to go ahead and grab the quartz, because quartz is actually something we can use elsewhere. If I wanted to, I could set up the, I could set up those filters to catch the quartz. I might actually do that, you know? Let's go take a look how we would go about to block quartz from coming in over here. So we basically need to say not chipped quartz and not flawed quartz. So we can do it. We can put this in parentheses. This is like regular expression stuff. So kind of like regular expression. We say this and not chipped. What is a quartz? Chipped. Too many options here. Chipped Certus. These have the ore dictionary name of gem, chipped Certus, gem, chipped nether, and also flawed as well. We would also want flawed. So not... Another big sneeze. Apologies. Chip. What is it called? Oh, actually, they all have quartz in the name, so we can use Quartz. There's a limit on the length of this function here, so I can't just like make it forever long. So it will no longer take chipped quartz. Gem. Quartz. Will it take flawed quartz? It will still take flawed quartz, so let's... What if I just, like, exclude all quartz crystals, perhaps? Like, why wouldn't I just do that? Because we're not going to be crunching up the big crystals. So why not just gem quartz? Because I don't think I'd want to crush any of these up. So yeah, that blocks any of these from being processed, which is awesome. Okay. So this now blocks these from going in here. Now I have to go to the end over here, and I have to allow the gem quartz to be on the outside. So here it's blocking flawed and chipped gems. So I can say not dust or crushed or flawed gems or chipped gems or clusters or dust of purity or impurity. And I can say or at the end. Or we can say gem. Oh, I'm out of typing space. Okay. So Can I, like... I'm wondering how much GQ would match if I just do GQ. No, that would match, like, way too many things. I need to say, like, gem slash quar at minimum. Hmm. I could also, like, just start taking out letters from this. So, like, instead of saying chipped, I can say... Let's look in our search. Chip. I don't think most of these are going to be in here. Chip gems would be. But I think we can just say chip here instead of having to say chipped. So let me go here and just say chip. So chip is only pulling up chip gems. That's what we would want here. What about flawed? So flaw... We would name flaw E with an E, so we can take the D out. But flaw will get flawless, so let's leave the D in here, or take the D out. And then crushed. We don't even need most of these. If we take the E, we still have that. Crush, crush. Okay, we start to get a bit more stuff in that. I think we can just do crew, though. Any OR dictionary that starts with crew. I am crew. And we can also do some dust small. So let's see, dust small. Dust SM. So dust small gets me this many results. Dust SM. Okay, we don't want to do with the S, so we would need to do SM, and that should give us the same amount. So dust SM. Okay, so now we have room over here. We can type gem-q QUARTZ. Z. Look how many letters I saved. So gem quar. Okay, this is basically what I want. All right, excellent. Now these gems should end up going into our system. If I put them here, we should see them go home up there. Awesome. Yay. And then what did I end up putting over here? I have gem quartz. We can put the whole thing over there. We don't need to be... Like, what if one day I update the pack and then it breaks this? There we go. So it's going to take all quartz gems and then everything else it's going to crush any other flawed or chipped gems because any other flawed or chipped gems have no use. All right, nice. How's our backlog doing anyways? So right now we are... It's currently doing the centrifuge ore here. There's quite a lot of that to do. Did Topaz jump the line already? Like, did we get some Topaz? Let me put some more Topaz there to jump the line. How is... Oh, we did jump the line, and Topaz is stuck behind quartz. So let me throw Topaz in the front for a second. Jump the line again. So now we are getting Topaz, finally. Okay, let's go look to see how many Topaz we have processed. Topaz, I bet none. Oh, 2. Yay. Excellent. Let's refresh. 3, 4. Amazing. Okay, so this is going to be our source of fluorine. How many are we going to need for the fluorine again? For our fluorine, we are looking at electrolyzing... like 12 of them? So we're actually already kind of close with what we have here. What we're gonna need to do, though, is we're gonna need to do another setup here for fluorine. Let's do a setup for fluorine really quick. Why do we have no tanks down here? Those are still on request, right? Yeah, keep 2 requests stocked. Yo, buddy, where are my tanks? Are we like out of something? Tank. Iron? We're out of redstone? Oh no. Let me show you something fun about redstone. So we take 1 redstone ore, right? We turn it in dense. We turn it into a concentrated shard. We turn it into a crystal, and then we cook it into 8 clusters. It's going to turn into 80 crushed redstone from 1 ore. So that's like a stack of redstone for each one of these. So we have here's like stacks and stacks, stacks of stacks, basically. Let's do 10 stacks of redstone then, I guess. Over 10 stacks even. And yeah, our ore processing system's going to be very busy. And then it said iron too? What the heck? What is going on? I guess I'll do some iron as well. The one thing about this ore system is that it's kind of slow. Like, it is prone to backing up if I overload it. I'm considering putting I'm considering putting another centrifuge here. I actually made a second centrifuge. You know what? Let's stop considering and let's just do it. Centrifuge. I think it's in here. It is in here. Okay. So, and I need a signalum cable. Oh, I do have one in my inventory. That's convenient. It's almost like I meant to do this earlier and I forgot or something. Why did this stop running? Oh, we ran out of sticks. I don't need that many. You know, with all the charcoal I'm making downstairs, I could... It's funny that I'm not just using charcoal. Alright, so signalum cable. Whoa, let's not use this drill in here. Okay. I think essentially I would need to get the output of this macerator into this chest because that chest has all the sorting logic on it. So let me hook this up right here. And I think I would like for one of these to be doing, one of them to be doing the ores, and then one of them to be doing the centrifuge, so that the centrifuge is not piling up like this, because right now it's just making more and more and more ores that need to be washed and then sifted or centrifuged or chemical bath, and it's like this backlog of centrifuge ore is just getting enormous. So let me do a ore dictionary filter, which I think I have one here. Smart item filter. I need an ore dictionary filter. Dictionary filter. I was like, please don't be out of olivine plates. I was like, gonna be like, so many things I'm being out of. All right, let's turn the output slot downwards, and we could just use an item conduit right here. We are going to say, oh, I need to use 2 of these, don't I? Dang it. Another chance olivine plates could have been out. Now we have 8 more. We would have been fine. Okay, so on this side, I'm going to say crushed. This is called crushed centrifuge. So I'm going to say crushed centri. So this is going to be not crushed centrifuged ore. So it should not accept that, but it should accept anything else. Okay. And then this one is going to be crushed centrifuge ore with a star. And then this is going to be able to go in here. Yes, I do want this on the side here because then the logic is separate from everything else. I will make this be... Excuse me. This needs to be filter extract, my bad. And this one is doing what it should be. Okay. And I'm just going to make this be blue. Blue. All right. And then this needs to hook up to go back into this chest. So here on this chest, I'm going to insert on... I'll use blue as well, because this blue and that blue should be separate. You know what? That's a terrible idea, because if I hook it up on accident, everything's going to break. So let's use... are we using lime? I don't think we're using lime on this network. So let's use insert on lime here. And here I'm going to extract on lime. Alright. So this stuff will now be going over there. And then that chest knows where those things need to go. And this redstone needs to get out of here. Okay. There we go. So it should be doing the crushed centrifuge ore only in here, which is going to be keeping the flow of stuff through this macerator much more smooth. I'm just looking at this and I'm like, should I have put a different box here? I should, actually. And let me tell you why. If this fills up, like, for some reason, we're going to have, like, a bottleneck, or not a bottleneck, a deadlock. Because we're going to have two machines waiting for the same inventory to be empty. So, I have a crate over here, and I have a LB conveyor. I'm going to break this. I'm actually just going to... We don't need this filter on here, in hindsight. Where's my crowbar? Crowbar is not in my tool belt. Why is my crowbar not in my tool belt? I had, like, the sign crafter in there instead. Get that out of here. This goes down here. Crowbar. That's going to come off. Then we are going to have a crate here. This crate is going to be allowed to accept only crushed centrifuge ore. And let me just make sure it does, in fact, only accept crushed centrifuge. Yep, okay. This one is no longer going to allow crushed centrifuge, so crew send over here is going to go bye-bye. So that's only going to reprocess the gems that need crushing. But those process very fast, so I'm not worried about those building up. This is now going to be a red channel insert, and that should start getting the crushed centrifuge ore instead of this chest. And let me just dump all of these out. Yep, it is getting some already. Dump all of these in here. Now there's no longer potential of a bottleneck. Put the conveyor module here, and I can take out this this filter here. It's not needed anymore. All right. Okay, so now we have that macerator explicitly doing those. And in fact, this only makes dust outputs, so we don't need this over here on second thought. We can just have this output directly on red. And red with only dust outputs is going to send it up to our output chest. All right. Okay, cool. Yeah. Alright, fix that potential bottleneck from cropping up on us. Because now we can't have it, not bottleneck, I said the wrong word again, deadlock, where you have two research trying to share the same machine. So now what are we doing here? We're doing some iron. Iron is going into our persulfate chemical bath, and that's giving us a gold byproduct, which is pretty nice, right? Then the iron is coming over here and is being thermal centrifuged. Yep, iron is over here waiting to thermal centrifuge. Where's redstone? Redstone is waiting behind crushed topaz. Wow, I just, like, body slammed this whole setup with stuff that's waiting to process. So now redstone is over here. It should be waiting to go into the thermal centrifuge. Yep, perfect. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that's all working. Good stuff. Alright, I think that's probably a good point to wrap it up today. I think what I'm going to be doing next time, because we need to upgrade our chemical processing here to HV, is that I'm going to upgrade all of these. How many machines are down here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh my. That is a lot of machine holes I'm about to request. Hull 24, because make some extra. Look at this. This is going to be crazy, right? Watch all the stuff coming up here. Okay, maybe not so crazy. A lot of stainless steel, though. Like, look at all that stainless steel that's up there. How is our stainless steel? We're out of ingots. Oh, I made a ton overnight, and we're out? That is kind of crazy. Anyways, those are going to cook up. I probably need to prime some more stainless steel crafting. But I'm going to upgrade all of these. Then we're going to be able to do some more crafts. We're going to be able to do tetranitromethane for fuel processing. And we're going to be able to do polytetrafluoroethylene for the vacuum freezer. So next time, we'll be doing that. Where's our iron, brother? We need iron. Oh my gosh. I apparently just need to sit here and wait for this stuff to process because we have such a deficit of materials that I can't do anything until until we have like some iron processed here. But first it's going to do the redstone? No, buddy. You need to do some iron first. Get out of the way, redstone. This is what I'm going to be dealing with for the next I don't know how long. Anyways, if you enjoyed the series, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I will see you next time with the upgraded chemical line, and I will probably go ahead and automate some of the materials we're going to need. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll do a chemistry episode next time. I'll see. But I will automate the machines at minimum. So, until then, signing off. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Oh, wait. How's our biotite? We got 12 biotite. Yeah, we're like not even halfway there. Goodness. This is going to be a major wait between the episode to do anything. See ya!